Good evening. Good evening to our in-person and our virtual audience as well, and welcome to Sanctuary's third annual Christmas Gala. I'm Lizzie Ojo-Martins, Sanctuary's Communications Manager, and I'm your co-host for this evening. So, before we get started, I want to acknowledge that we are joining you from the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. So, as an organization that works at the intersection of mental health and faith, it's extremely important to us that we recognize the ongoing impacts that colonialism has had on people within racialized and marginalized communities. Acknowledging whose land we live and work on is but one small part of our continued effort to address these issues. Now, the theme for tonight is good for the soul, and you may have noticed, I hope you noticed, that we spelled soul two ways, S-O-U-L and S-O-L-E. Now, the latter is because we're joining you from the Fluevog Shoestore. So tonight, I'm going to be sharing with you how purchasing some shoes can help you support Sanctuary, which is what I would consider a win-win situation. So I'm also going to be interviewing some of our friends here in store about some of their shoe purchases in the hopes that it'll inspire you to do the same as well. So tonight, we encourage you to listen in as our CEO, Daniel Whitehead, highlights some of the important work that Sanctuary has been doing this year to equip the church to support mental health and well-being. You'll also hear from some familiar faces, Sanctuary friends, Reverend John Swinton, as well as Dr. Hillary McBride and Isaac Wardell, guest, local musician Nikki Page. So she'll be playing some of her original songs from us, as well as chatting about a project that you may have heard a little something about and that Daniel will be sharing more about later on. So I promise you, it's going to be an absolutely fantastic evening, and I'll be with you again shortly. For now, I'm going to turn it over to our CEO, Mr. Daniel Whitehead.
Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lizzie. Let me just commend Lizzie for remembering her lines. That was amazing. I have not done that, so I'm going to be looking at these quite a lot. Welcome, everyone. It's so wonderful to have you with us. First of all, I need to thank those who are have people in store with us for the first time, which is wonderful. Thank you so much for coming out and braving the cold weather to be here. We are so, so grateful. You know, this evening we are here to do a couple of things. We are here to celebrate the year that has been and all the good work that Sanctuary has done and is doing. But before we do that, we just have to acknowledge that, you know, these are actually hard times for many people. Crunch and, you know, as Sanctuary, we don't try to avoid the difficult things. We just like to acknowledge them and make space for them. So we are here to celebrate, but we do so whilst also bearing in mind that these are difficult times for many people. So with that, we will be celebrating the release of resources and the development of new resources that will be coming out and equipping churches all over the world in the year ahead. And we are also here to raise funds. We are looking forward to some of the incredible projects that we're doing, but our goal is to raise $250,000 by December 31st to help Sanctuary do that. And there are two ways that you can support Sanctuary tonight. You can donate and get a tax receipt. And if you're going onto our website, you can see you can donate if you're in the United States of America or in the UK. We have charities in those places. You can get tax receipts in those places, as well as Canada. We can also receive donations by phone if you call 778-836-4673. Otherwise, go to our website at sanctuarymentalhealth.org/donate, or come and visit a table like this one here to donate in person if you're here. And secondly, limited to tonight, you can support us by buying a pair of Fluevog shoes. How ridiculous is that? If you buy shoes, you'll be supporting Sanctuary. And Lizzie has some more information for us on that. Lizzie, go for it.
We are so thankful to all of the folks here at Fluevog for their generosity. So like Dan said, tonight only, if you purchase a pair of Fluevogs, as well as online and in person, and use the code SANCTUARY at checkout in the coupon section, they're going to donate 50% of those proceeds back to Sanctuary. So I have with me here Sanctuary's engagement manager, Brianna Russell. Brianna, thank you for joining me.
Thank you. On maternity leave.
Yes, thank you for making time for us. So I have one question for Brianna. It's very important. It's very serious. I need you to take it seriously. And it is, if Santa Claus or Mrs. Claus herself were in store here today, which pair of shoes do you think they would pick and why?
Ooh, pressure's on. So I was thinking about this a lot, Lizzie, and I feel like I can sympathize a little bit with Santa because I pick up my fair share of toys with 4 boys. And so I need something strong and sturdy, but you also want to be stylish. So I picked these shoes out, the Derby Swirl in a lovely red and black. I think Santa would rock them. And coincidentally, these soles, the angelic sole, has been around for a while, and my husband was wearing Fluevogs with the angelic sole when I met him many, many moons ago. So watch out, Mrs. Claus. Santa's gonna be rocking these.
Yeah, who knew that Santa was so stylish? Also, you heard it here first. Wear some Fluevogs, you might meet your life partner. Who knows? So, you heard it here, folks. You have just under 2 hours to purchase a pair of Fluevogs and have 50% of the proceeds donated back to Sanctuary. Back to you, Dan.
Thank you, Lizzie and Brianna. Well, in just a moment, I'll be sharing lots about all the amazing opportunities and projects that we're going to be involved in the next year, and all the things we've done in the last year thanks to our very generous donors. But first, I want to introduce you to our first patron, the Most Reverend and Right Honourable Justin Welby, Archbishop of Canterbury. Yes, you heard me correct. The Archbishop of Canterbury is Sanctuary's patron. It's kind of strange for me as an Englishman who is also now a Canadian, I might add. It's strange for me that I have to introduce who the Archbishop of Canterbury is, because he's kind of a big deal in the UK. The Archbishop of Canterbury is the senior bishop and principal leader of the Church of England, which means there are 200 million Anglicans in the world that look to him for spiritual leadership. As patron, he lends his profile and support to Sanctuary as part of an ongoing relationship to raise awareness about our work, especially in the UK. Here is a short message from Archbishop Justin about why Sanctuary's work is important to him and important for the church.
I'm Justin Welby, and I'm one of the millions of people in this country who has depression. There are many of us who live with mental ill health. For some people, it's intermittent. For others, it's always there. We are in the church. Some of us even lead the church. We serve in whatever way God calls us. I am delighted that the Sanctuary course is helping churches start conversations about mental health and reduce the stigma attached to illness. We must all get better at talking about this. I didn't used to talk about my experience, but now I do, because I've learnt that talking helps me to make sense of what is happening and makes room for others to acknowledge and understand what is happening to them and those they love. These free resources will help all of us, ordained or lay, whether we've been in the church for 5 minutes or 50 years. I encourage you to talk, learn, pray, share, and care about this. Whatever your church and wherever you live, it matters. May God bless you.
Okay, so let's talk about the year that has been, 2022. You know, in 2022, we launched 2 websites. We launched a portal, which now means that Sanctuary can track who's using our resources, which means we can be data informed and better serve our community around the world. We also launched a new outward-facing website, which means we can do internationalization, which means if we create a resource in another language, which I'll talk about later, people can access that course from their country and find a website in their language. So Sanctuary is building for global growth. We're building with a global vision for this subject. This last year, we also launched a revised and improved version of the Sanctuary course. We launched our first translation on our website. The Sanctuary course Para Católicos Español is now available on Sanctuary's website. We also launched a new resource recently called When a Loved One Dies by Suicide, which is specifically helping Catholic parishes and others to talk about the subject of suicide and destigmatize the subject that is not talked about enough. We also completed our 3rd year of running Move for Mental Health, our summer fundraiser, and we've had over 130,000 views of our articles on our blog since it launched in 2020. We provided valuable content about companionship and mental health in our 3rd annual mental health awareness campaign in October on social media, and we've continued our good work on a groundbreaking youth resource, which again, I'll talk a bit more about later. We also begun translating the Sanctuary course into 3 new languages this last year, with plans for more to follow. We also began working on an introduction to mental health ministry in partnership with the Association of Catholic Mental Health Ministers that will launch in the first half of 2023. And we're very excited to announce this evening and to share with you about a project we've been working on with the Porter's Gate Worship Collective. The Porter's Gate is a group of worship leaders from a wide denominational background who have come together to create music about subjects that is underserved in the church. And about a year ago, Isaac Wardell, the guy who founded Porter's Gate, reached out to me and said, we want to make an album on mental health. And amazingly, their next album, which will launch on all major platforms in May this year, will be called Sanctuary Songs, an album on mental health. So without further ado, I'm very excited to share with you for the first time the trailer for Sanctuary Songs. So for those who are eagle-eyed, you may have recognized some people in that. You may have noticed Matt Maher, who is kind of like probably the most famous worship leader in the world right now. Brian Dirksen, who's a good friend of Sanctuaries, and also our ambassador, John Swinton, who is chaplain to the King of England. And actually, 2 days before they came out to Keats Island, where we did this writers' retreat in October, John was at Balmoral preaching to King Charles and Queen Camilla. So there you go. All of you are now 2 degrees of separation away from the King of England. So that's very exciting. So while on Keats, we worked with all of these musicians. We had people flying from all over the world, including a couple of legitimate rappers from London, which was kind of cool. Governor B and Nick Brewer, shout out to them. They came over and we filmed everything we could. We had a camera crew ready because we want to make a documentary about the making of this album. We think there's an amazing story to be told. In February, we have a crew ready to go to Nashville to film the studio session where the musicians are going to come together and lay the tracks down. So again, we're going to be filming that. But to get this documentary out requires funding. Sanctuary is trying to find funding to create these resources. We think there's an amazing story to be told, the story of making this album, which will be heard and sung by people all over the world and bring hope and healing to people. So we need your help. So please consider that. Now, I'm going to share the next film with you. While we were on Keats Island, we filmed a little roundtable conversation with 2 of our ambassadors, Reverend Professor John Swinton, Dr. Hilary McBride, and Isaac Wardell, who is a well-known song producer and writer. And he's written a few songs that you would know. And he founded the Porter's Gate. And so I had a little roundtable conversation with them to record for this event. So let's roll the film. Okay, well, welcome. We are here at Barnabas Landing on Keats Island. We've been here for a writer's retreat with the Porter's Gate, and I'm joined by Sanctuary Ambassador John Swinton, Mr. Isaac Wardell from the Porter's Gate, and Sanctuary Ambassador Hilary McBride. And we're here to explore creativity and music and why this is all important for faith and mental health. So why do you think the arts and creativity are important for us when we're talking about faith and mental health? What do you think?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind for me is how much of our experience of mental health lives in this kind of before language place. It lives in the felt and the sensed place. And it's hard for us to get there through our traditional mediums. And there's something about being able to use creativity and expression as a means of accessing what feels known and lived inside of us, but is hard to articulate in other ways. It's almost like we get a direct route to what the felt experience of our inner landscapes can be like in a way that circumnavigates some of the rigidity of other mediums.
Yeah, and just kind of jumping right off of that, I think I found working in a ministry context especially that when people are having lived experiences that are really challenging, what people actually are looking for are like redemptive encounters and transformative encounters. And those encounters take many shapes, but one of the shapes of redemptive encounter, I think, can be through people's experience with music or with visual art or with craftsmanship and creativity of all kinds. And so it seems appropriate to me that as we talk about mental health and healing and flourishing, that one aspect of that conversation is going to be encounters with the arts.
You know, I think it's really interesting how this struck me as a young man, that music is kind of from nothing. You know, these are sound waves, and yet it evokes such a response. It does in me anyway. So to me, it kind of speaks to something else. An artist takes a blank canvas and they create something that evokes a feeling. Yeah. And sometimes for people who maybe their feelings are stifled or maybe they're struggling with some difficult things, there's something that from beyond, from nothing, that evokes something that speaks to something that's deeper than... I mean, that's what... I'm not a musician, but that's what I love about music. It stirs up all kinds of emotions in me and brings them out.
When you sit down to write a song or do whatever it is, it didn't exist a few minutes before, and suddenly it comes into existence. And there's lots of positives in that. But for people who are very often highly stigmatized or written off, to be able to create something, bring something into existence that's unique and that's owned by you, and also for other people to say, this is really good, it's a pretty powerful statement in terms of, you know, who you are and what your value is.
So how have the arts and creativity been important for you in your own mental health journeys or in the journeys of those that you love? Maybe you've got some examples you could share with us.
My story fits nicely into my narrative here. When I think about my own recovery from disordered eating, it felt like I needed the arts as a way of helping me re-inhabit my body, particularly through the playing of music, through listening to music and movement, right? Like dance. I found myself accessing my body in a way that helped me do that both with a little bit of safety and pleasure. It was like the arts repaired the fragmentation that existed and was perpetuated in the context around me. So I'm thinking about how so much of what we see is the cause of suffering is fragmentation or disconnection, and yet there is something about the arts that reassociates, especially if we allow it to. It evokes feeling in us. It brings us back into our bodies. It creates space for the things that have been unfelt to be felt again.
I have a slightly different perspective because I can find that when music is my contribution to the art and writing, it can be a very interned enterprise. Like, so I could literally spend days on my own either writing or playing music or recording music or whatever it is, like, which is actually very bad for your mental health. And so I get some release from it because I enjoy it. And then sometimes I don't because I'm so busy trying to get things right that it causes me more stress than it does release. So whilst I'm obviously a great fan of the arts, it can be a space where you just turn in on yourself. So I think there's a shadow side to it that's probably worthwhile noticing for people like me and maybe people like you guys around the table, I don't know. So there's pluses and minuses.
So what do we think the arts and creativity have to teach us about the character and nature of God?
I'll go first on this one. Tonight we were looking out at the beautiful bay where we are here. And I was noticing as the sun was going down, the way that there were kind of layers of depths of color kind of being hidden by the layers of fog. And how it kind of looked like a painting. And I thought, well, why do I think it looks like a painting? Like a painting looks like this, you know? But thinking through, there's not words for this. This is an experience that I'm having. I can't exactly explain what's happening to me, but I know that something's happening to me. And that it feels to me like the arts are a way that we can have that kind of experience with God. I can't exactly put it into words, but I know that it's happening to me. And it doesn't have those same limitations of having to mean just one thing. That something, a piece of art can mean many things at many different times.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the arts necessarily can tell you anything about God, because I think that's the job of the Holy Spirit. But it can tell you a lot about the ways in which we imagine and experience God. So I think that they can expand our imagination in ways that enable us to grasp aspects of God that we could never grasp if we just simply spoke about God in that way. So that's that general sense of being able to grasp God through the arts is helpful. But I think you need to be careful with that because I think ultimately God reveals God rather than anything that we do.
That kind of reminds me of what I was thinking, but a little adjacent to that, this idea that there's something surprising about creativity. And as much as I think I know where it's going to go, it goes somewhere else. Or when it's almost like this stream that needs to be followed in a way. It has a consciousness of its own that when I follow it, when I see people follow it, it seems like it takes us somewhere unknown in a way that defies our expectations. And so the nature of the creative process itself reminds me of the way that I have learned to see that God is so much outside of the constrictions, that it's always in the unexpected places, and the process of how it gets there that is outside of what I could have known and expected, that feels somehow related to the character and nature of God.
Yeah.
Very good. I do have a bonus question though.
All right.
Because this film is being shown at our Christmas Gala, so it's Christmas. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
The bonus question is, what's your favourite Christmas record or album?
Gosh, a toss-up for me between the Sufjan Stevens Christmas album and the Barbra Streisand one. And I say that because my mom loves it, which means it's up full blast as we're making cookies, and it just feels baked in. Just baked right in.
Love it.
Yeah.
I am going to lead off with James Brown's Funky Christmas. James Brown's Funky Christmas is sort of nostalgic, gets into some relationship stuff. It's great for a Christmas party. It's great for when you're making Christmas cookies in the kitchen or something like that. It's not the most spiritual record, although it has some real moments of transcendence in it. But James Brown's Funky Christmas, heavy rotation in the Wardell household at Christmas time.
Okay. Well, I'm all about Little Drummer Boy, David Bowie, and
Bing Crosby.
Bing Crosby. Yeah. For me, that is Christmas.
It's the gold standard.
Yeah. I
I don't have one.
You don't?
No.
Oh.
No. Christmas is a time for Jesus.
Okay. Said like a true theologian.
Well, my family loved the Mariah Carey Christmas album. So,
Okay. Yeah. So does most of planet Earth. Yeah.
yes, exactly. So I guess maybe I do like some.
Okay. Oh, maybe. Well, thank you so much, everyone. That was a great conversation. And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
So there you go. I'm not at all surprised that John Swinton is a Mariah Carey fan. His vocal range is almost identical, you'll be pleased to know. We're now going to segue into introducing another friend, a musician from the Songwriting Retreat. Nikki Page is local to Vancouver, is a registered massage therapist, and in her spare time makes a lot of music. Nikki, welcome to the stage. So we had many people join us on the Writers' Retreat, and we were so thrilled that Nikki could join us. And Nikki, I just want to ask you a few questions about this whole subject. So Nikki, what drew you to be part of the Sanctuary Songs project?
As soon as I heard about this project, that there was going to be an album created to address the topic of mental health, it was just one of those things that as soon as you hear about it, there's this, yes, I can't believe, like I didn't know I would have anything to do with it. Just knowing that it was a thing, there was this so much energy to be for it and support it, and just so glad that it was happening, and I couldn't wait to see what happened and what it came to. So just an easy yes, all of it. There's such a need.
Wow. So Nikki, what role has music played in your own mental health journey?
Music has played probably the hugest role, other than maybe counseling. As someone who feels a lot of things all the time, a lot of things, I get stuck in a lot of my feelings, and sometimes I can't explain what's happening in a quick, how are you? I feel like I can't do it justice, and I get stuck in my own head, and music has been such an avenue of being able to sing through stuck places, hard places, usually heavier things that I can't just move through easily on a day-to-day basis.
So Nikki, how have you seen it play a role in others' lives as you've shared your music with people?
Yeah, a little bit of a head shake. I've never written really with the intent of thinking that my songs would have any sort of public light. Any times I've really shared have mostly been in a context of, hey, I wrote this song because I needed it, and I wonder if part of my story overlaps with yours. And so what I've seen is, or what I've heard maybe, is people telling me that some of my music has given them space to grieve, or has put words to things that they've felt that they didn't know how to move through themselves. So yeah, that's some of that.
Thank you, Nikki. Well, Nikki has actually just recovered from a cold, but in spite of that, she is willing to perform for us this evening. So Nikki's got 2 original songs that she's created, one on the piano and one on the guitar, I think. Not at the same time, obviously, but she's going to perform them for us now. So ladies and gentlemen, Nikki Page.
Thanks, Dan. This first song is called I'll Sing, and I wrote this song based off of a conversation that I had with a friend who had just named having depression for the first time. And as someone who also has depression, I just was able to sit with her and say things that I felt like I would have needed when I've told a friend. And yeah, so that's where this song comes from. Tell me it's a dark day, please don't do this part alone. Though I can't much fix things, I'll sit with you, I'll be close. Even if the night goes overdue, I'll sing to you. Explain, you are worthy, you are safe. Sacred is the space I'll hold for all you choose to share. Trust me when I say you're not a burden. I'll sing it till the end. Now throw your expectations expectations at the wall of all that stings. I wish that I could carry some of that which makes you sink. But holler at me if you dip back down, and we'll sing from the ground. Oh, don't isolate away, okay? And tell me when you're not okay, okay? Yeah, don't isolate away, okay? Yeah, tell me when you're not okay, okay? 'Cause though I can't much fix things, I'll sit with you, I'll be close. And even if the night goes overdue, I'll sing to you. Position 2. Okay, so this song I wrote out of a space that I needed. Let's do that. It's called Never Change, and it comes from, I don't know if any of you have had a moment or two or several. I've had several where I've done something or several things, and I just beat myself up for being like, why did you do that? You were the worst, and just feeling like all that everything that I am is just the epitome of me is based on and defined by this one thing. Could be big, could be not. Could be something you've done over and over again, I don't know. And just being stuck in that spin, not being able to get out, just feeling so not worth a lot. So this song comes out of that space while also having a second voice of somebody who sees me in that imperfection, or what I feel is imperfection, and chooses to stay and chooses to love me anyway. And there's actually 2 parts, so I actually need your help, all y'all who are here. Even on the live stream, you can sing too, because I can't sing 2 parts at once, like I can't play guitar and piano at the same time. It's a really simple line, and I'll cue you when I want you to sing it with me. And it's 3 times you're gonna sing, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? And then the line to finish it off is, for I am yours. The 3rd time we hit that do you love me, there's a little lift. So we'll sing it with you a few times, and then we'll go into the song together. So it goes, do you love me? And then the lift. Do you love me? For I am yours. We'll do it one more time so you can catch it on. Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? For I am yours. Great, I'll cue you in just a moment. I'm messing up, I can't get it right, and I'm caught out by you. Oh, I fought it, but I feel the same. Is my compass askew? from all the rest. I'm still caught out by you. Oh, inevitability finds me, and here I am. What's the use in pushing back? I know I'll never change. Yeah, this is me. I can't meet your gaze, and I'm running away. Oh, inevitability finds me, and here I am. There the roosters crow, sends me to my knees. What have I done? Yeah, what have I done? All right, this is our time. Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? For I am yours. For I am yours. Sing that a few more times. I'll sing it with you. Come on. Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? For I am yours. Okay, keep it coming. I need you now. Yes, yes, I do. You know I love to love you. Yes, yes, I do. You know I try so hard to you. Know my heart, and you know all things. I am yours. Sing that one more time. Do you love me? Yes, yes, I do. You know I love to love you. Yes, yes, I do. You know I try so hard to you. Know my heart, and you know all things. I am yours. Thank you. Yeah, you know all things. Yeah, you know all things, and I am yours. You pulling me back to you. 'Cause you make all things new. You're pulling me back to you. 'Cause you make all things new. Inevitability finds me, and here I am. You're the one who pulls me back. I know you'll never change. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you so much. Oh, we'll do a little dance. That's all right. No, we're so grateful. So grateful for you coming out and performing. There we go. Thanks, Nikki. So, ladies and gentlemen, now is the time for me to tell you a bit about what's coming up for Sanctuary. Some of you may not know this, but to date, the Sanctuary course and the Sanctuary course for Catholics has been used by over 200,000 people in over 75 countries. We're amazed by the uptake of our resource, but also kind of not surprised when we consider this historical moment that we're in and the need for such resources. When I think about this small local Canadian Vancouver charity that I took over 6 years ago with 2 part-time staff, and I consider where we've got to with the Archbishop of Canterbury as our patron and various other things, it is truly remarkable. I feel so, so grateful. I was actually talking with the producer and director of a BBC One weekly TV show just the other day, because they're talking about actually making an episode on Sanctuary, which is kind of a cool thing. That'd be 6 million people hearing about our work. And he said to me, as we left the call, and I talked to him and given him the real hard sell on what Sanctuary is and what Sanctuary does. And he said to me with tears in his eyes, he said, "You have the best job in the world." And I said, yeah. I said 99% of the time, yes, apart from when I need to meet the budget. That's the only 1% that's challenging. But no, I agree. I do have the best job in the world, and leading this organization is incredible. I feel so humbled to lead this organization. And we can be very proud that this little Vancouver charity is now impacting communities all over the world. And the chance to do more than we've done is amazing when I tell you about what's going on for Sanctuary at the moment. So obviously Sanctuary songs. We've talked about Sanctuary songs. This is an album that's going to help churches around the world to cultivate a culture of belonging by creating worship music that acknowledges lived experience of mental illness, and as powerfully witnessed by Nikki tonight and the films that we've seen. And I recently had confirmation just this week that the first time Sanctuary songs will be played in public will be at the Royal Albert Hall in May as part of the Alpha Leadership Conference. So 6,500 people in the Royal Albert Hall hearing Sanctuary songs, hearing about the work of Sanctuary. It's truly remarkable. There is an appetite for this work. There is an appetite for this message. So Sanctuary's resources are getting into some new and exciting places. We're currently working on this youth resource. And again, we've had some really interesting discussions about that. Barna recently released a study that showed that before the pandemic, young people, mainly millennials and Gen Z, were more likely than previous generations to report experiencing mental health challenges. This has only increased in the context of the global pandemic. And in our conversations, as apparently a world-leading mental health charity, because no one else is doing this, by the way, we had conversations with Alpha, and the Alpha Youth Team Global have just jumped all over this and said, we want to help you. We want to help you get this resource to all of our constituents, which is millions of young people around the world. So we're in meetings with them all the time, and they want to help us to create this youth resource and get it out to a very large audience. They are 100% behind us. And of course, the need is not just for English-speaking communities. Many people have reached out to us from other cultures requesting access to the Sanctuary course in their languages. And currently in partnership, we are working on the German, Romanian, and Russian translations. And there are more coming up. We're obviously also in the moment in conversation to complete a Ukrainian one, and hopefully many more. We're also beginning a collaboration with the British Bible Society, who want to create a mental health Bible with Sanctuary. So that's would have international release and would be a Bible that anyone anywhere could pick up to integrate their faith with their mental health. We're partnering with the Pray As You Go app. Some of you will know about that Ignatian Spirituality app. We're partnering with them, and there are going to be 3 prayer resources by Sanctuary on faith and mental health going to be released next year. Our engagement work is also happening with a number of Catholic parishes in Vancouver, in the Vancouver Diocese, and we're working collaboratively with Alpha Canada to get Sanctuary into the same parishes that they're working with the Catholic churches. That was at their suggestion and their instigation. We're also currently working closely with our dear friends at Alpha, both here in Canada and in the UK and internationally. In recent weeks, I've had conversations with a global institution about featuring Sanctuary's work on a primetime TV show, which would be seen by millions of people. We're also working on this spiritual trauma podcast with Hilary McBride, and we found out from Spotify just a few days ago that the Sanctuary podcast is one of the top 10% most shared podcasts globally, and in the top 15% of most followed podcasts globally, which is really interesting because in the last year, we only launched one episode. So what it says to us is there is appetite for this subject. People are looking for resources and help. And we've recorded a podcast series with Hilary McBride on spiritual trauma, people who've been traumatized in the context of their faith. And what can they do? Where can they turn? The challenge for Sanctuary is we need to fund that project. We need to edit it. And these projects can't be worked on until they're funded. That's the policy we have to take in this current economic climate. So again, if we want these resources, we need to give. We all need to give to make these things happen because they're ready, they're there, we can do this. Just today, I was speaking with Stacey Campbell, the CEO of Prison Fellowship Canada, who expressed her 100% steadfast commitment to getting the Sanctuary course into every prison in Canada and to help us get it into other prison fellowships around the world. And she's just adamant. She said, we need this. This is a resource we need in every prison, everywhere. Just remarkable. That was just this morning. We're also in dialogue with Bobby Grunwald and his team at the Bible app and YouVersion. They want to help Sanctuary get out to their users, and they have 500 million users. That's not a mistake. They have 540 million users of the Bible app. It's that little brown app on your phone that says Holy Bible. Well, I met with him, the guy who founded that. He once presented the Pope with a golden iPhone, which I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not, but apparently he did. He told me it wasn't solid gold, which was at least something. But nevertheless, the Bible app and YouVersion have given Sanctuary direct line to get content that we create onto the app and in front of hundreds of millions of people. That's only in the last 2 weeks. Again, what I keep finding is everyone wants what we have. Everyone wants to talk about this subject, but there isn't anyone out there to help people talk about it, it seems. I've recently been in conversation with a number of other people, but one thing I would mention is just back in 2019, I went to England with a vague dream that I could take Sanctuary onto an international scale. And in that meeting, I was at Lambeth Palace. It was miraculous how it came about. Lambeth Palace is where the Archbishop of Canterbury lives. And around the table was a man called Corin Pilling, who is now our UK director, based in London. And I met him. He was working for another organisation at the time. And I was told at that table that the Anglican Church do not work with third-party organisations. They're very happy for third-party organisations to exist, but they won't endorse their work. Because I went in there and innocently said, hey, let me give you a free course to use in all the Anglican churches in England. They told me they don't do that. Last month, the Bishop of Bedford, the Anglican mental health bishop, sent a letter to every Anglican priest in England encouraging them to run the Sanctuary course. So within 3 years, the things I was told would never happen has happened. And it's happened because of this historical moment. There is a need for what we have. Everyone needs it. Everyone wants it. We know it, and increasingly other people are finding out about us. It is remarkable. Believe it or not, there are more things I could say, but I won't. I'll share them for next year. So what does that mean? It means that Sanctuary is in an amazing season of opportunities, genuine. It's like the last 6 years have led to this moment. We have incredible opportunities. We have resources that work. We have the backing of world leaders. It's unbelievable. The challenge is, financially, Sanctuary has never been in a more vulnerable position. I've never spoken like this because we've never been in this position. We're truly saying, we don't know if we can do these things, and yet we have all of these glorious opportunities. We need real wisdom and discernment to know what to do at this time and what not to do. But one way we can fix that is if we have finances. And I'm so grateful for people that are working so hard, our board, our friends, existing donors. I was in a meeting with 3 of them just the other day, and everyone's working so hard to try and help Sanctuary get what they need so we can seize these opportunities. And so that in 3 or 4 years' time, Sanctuary is truly a global movement, changing communities around the world and helping the church to be at the coalface of this subject, to empower and equip the church to know how to offer support to people at a point of crisis. That's the goal. And we can do it. We're so close. I feel like I'm just looking across the water at the promised land and I can see it. We need your help. That's simple as that. We need your help. We need your help to help us reach $250,000 by December 31st. We've got a generous donor to match fund, which is amazing. But we need your help. If you're watching this, if you're here in person, if you know of Sanctuary, if you don't know of Sanctuary, if you love what we do, if you've been affected by it, I would urge you, and I've never asked this before, but I would urge you, please give. Please give. I am giving everything I can give. Please join me and give too. There is an amazing moment for all of us. And I look forward to that day when all of us can say together, we were there at the beginning, and now we see what God is doing, and we see millions of lives impacted and transformed through the work of this little Vancouver-based nonprofit. So please donate. You can donate. The ways are on screen if you're online. You can donate here. You can send in a check. And also, as well as giving, consider becoming a monthly donor, joining our Alongside Club. You get lots of exclusive access to things if you do that. Also, consider advocating for our work in your faith communities. If you're watching this or you're here, go and use our resources. They're free. Just sign up for them and go and use them and promote them in your faith communities and the faith communities of people that you know. And find ways to walk alongside people. And of course, for the next 65 minutes, I'm sure John and Ruth Fluevog are watching this. They're overseas at the moment. Please buy shoes. For the next 65 minutes, 50% will go back to Sanctuary. If you're online, use the coupon code Sanctuary online. Now, before we close this part, we're still, if you're live, I'm sorry for people viewing, there's more food and drink available. We're still going to carry on after this. But just before we close, we're going to show one more film to you. And this film is a short film about a very special friend of Sanctuary's. Andy Zox, who leads the Zox Foundation, is a big philanthropist who loves mental health, who is a real man of faith, and he loves Sanctuary. I keep meeting people who bump into Andy and say, Andy loves Sanctuary. He talks up Sanctuary all the time. So I know Andy's watching this. Andy, thank you so much for your support. We wanted to show a little film about why Andy chooses to give. So let's watch the film.
When I was in grade 1, they said, it's better to give than receive. In my case, it took me 50 or 60 years to figure that out, but it truly is. The rewards of giving are incredible. I had 30 fantastic years in people engineering and sales and marketing. I retired and sold the company to all the employees. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And you know what very quickly came up was philanthropy. And immediately an opportunity came, and that was in mental health. Carrie and Ginny Dennehy, the parents of Kelty Dennehy, lost their son through suicide at the age of 16. They decided they wanted to make a difference. I joined the Kelty Patrick Dennehy Foundation. I became very, very close and will forever thank Carrie and Ginny for educating me in the field of mental health and helping to make a difference. My foundation is called the Sox Foundation. I give to 35 charities, and I do due diligence on all of them because I worked hard for my money, and I want to be able to create the same results in those charities. I can monitor the best charities because I think it's a real skill, and it takes a lot of perseverance and insights, and that's what I want to do. Encourage these charities to do the best they can, be best in class. I found in Vancouver, in my home ground, an organization that was doing work specifically for mental health and faith. Sanctuary are in a class of their own. Sanctuary are a leader. not in BC, but in North America, and I suspect in the world, of making a difference. They're a great group of people. I've got to know them. They're hardworking, persevering, and they have excellent leadership from Daniel Whitehead. You know, I have been in the mental health philanthropy for 20 years, and it's rewarding to see 20 years later that mental health is discussed openly by celebrities, people, the news, etc. It's just everywhere. And now is the time to bring our faith into the equation, into the solution, and Sanctuary has fit in beautifully with the faith component. I adopted the philosophy, giving while living, which means give your money away while you're living. It's God's money, not my money. Normally what people do is they write it in their wills and they don't get any gratification. I encourage everybody, it is so fulfilling. In my opinion, Sanctuary are the only solution that is available to make a difference in mental health and faith. And I encourage you, do what I did, give to Sanctuary.
Turn your attention over here. Wow, it is incredible to see the passion that people like Andy and people like yourselves, in person and at home as well, have about equipping the church to support mental health and well-being. Thank you so much to Andy Zox for his continued support of Sanctuary's work. So, I have another friend of Sanctuary's here, one of our esteemed board members, Mr. Bing Ho. Hi, Bing. Thanks for joining.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Of course. So, a little birdie may have told me that Bing is considering purchasing a pair of shoes tonight to support Sanctuary. So, I have one question for you as well, which is, if you had to pick a pair of shoes to represent your personality, which would you pick and why?
That was challenging for me, because if you're in this store, you can see these fabulous shoes. They're whimsical, they're imaginative, they're creative, they're outlandish. They are fantastic, and they're for those kinds of people. When I look deep into my soul, that wasn't me. What's me? But my sister's here, and she prodded me. She said, it's like going to a Chinese restaurant with all this fabulous food and having a bowl of rice. So this is me and my sister.
I love that so much. Wow, shout out to your sister. That was an excellent choice. She has great taste. Wow. So, for those of you that are shopping either in person or at home, you have just under 1 hour to continue to support Sanctuary by purchasing a pair of Fluevogs. Don't forget to use the code Sanctuary at checkout, and you're gonna get 50% off, or 50%, sorry, donated back to Sanctuary. It's not that good a sale, I'm sorry.
Better.
Back to you, Dan.
Thanks, Lizzie. That's great. Go for it, Bing. I think you should absolutely go for it. I can't see from here what those shoes are, but I'm imagining like pink stilettos or something. I can't see. My eyes aren't good enough, but I'm sure they're wonderful. Well, thank you to everyone for coming. Thank you for coming in person, for braving the cold weather. To our virtual guests, thank you for joining us for the last hour. All that's left for me to do is to thank all of you and to thank John and Ruth Fluevog and Chad and the team here for hosting us. And thank you so much for joining us. A very Merry Christmas to all of you, and we'll see you again soon. God bless. Shoes, and when it comes to last orders, we'll give you a warning. Please go to the bar. All the drinks are free. There's a signature cocktail you can try. But enjoy yourselves. Bless you.